You are now listening to the Art of Winning show with your host and co-host, Eddie Truck Gordon and Miyoko Taylor, two best-selling authors. Eddie Truck Gordon is New York Emmy award-winning fighter, UFC Ultimate Fighter champion. Miyoko Taylor is a celebrity personal development coach and thought leader. Both have mastered the art of winning. It's never too late to tap into your amazing, and remember, success has no age limit.
Welcome back to the Art of Winning show. It's your man, Eddie Truck Gordon, and I got my amazing co-host, Mr. Amazing himself. He needs no introduction, Mr. Miyoko Taylor. What's going on today, Yoko? How we doing?
Hey, what's up, Truck, man? It's a beautiful day, finally, in New Jersey. Some amazing weather, man.
I go to New York, too, so I'm pumped up about it. But I got goosebumps. My palms are sweating about this episode because... But for so many reasons. Now, before I introduce our guest, I'm not even going to introduce her. I want her to bring herself on because I don't want to do her an injustice and not hype her up enough. But I hate to say it. I always never want to know anything about the guest that we have on. But I was forced to check out her Instagram. I borderline stalked her a little bit. And that's why I think I'm so excited. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you to Emily Frisella. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. So a little rundown. Yeah, Emily Frisella.
No pressure. But tell us about yourself. Let the listeners know who's on.
All right. So Emily Frisella, I live in St. Louis. I am an entrepreneur, a healthy living chef, a twice published author. I am founder of Women in Business Workshop. I host a nutrition podcast called Food and Session Podcast. And then I also do private menus for meal prep companies and restaurants in the US and Canada to provide them with healthy options for their diners. So,
awesome. Well, obviously you guys can see and hear exactly why I'm so excited because I have to lose weight for a living. So I was...
Dang, that's me.
And I just have to lose weight.
Exactly. That's why I was so pumped up because when I started looking, I was like, oh my God, I could do this. I could do that. I can't wait till the listeners get to pick your brain. I am like so fired up. Yoko, I'm warning you, make sure I don't take over this podcast and ask all the questions.
We go back and forth, Emily. Don't mind us.
Well, the thing is with losing weight for a living, it's really hard because food is so good.
Yes. Like people don't understand. It's you and me both, and that's what I love. Now, let me ask you the first question because I've been like, this has been like tearing at me. What brought you, besides the fact that everybody loves food, right? What brought you into the food world? I say food world because it's completely...
Okay, so I grew up, that's a great question. I grew up on a farm and we raised cattle and row crop and things like that. Very Southern style, very traditional. We had awesome dinners. My mom and grandmas were like phenomenal chefs. So I've always been around food. But at that point in my life, it was something where eating well was eating at home, which could mean like country fried steak, gravy, biscuits and gravy, sausage. Like it wasn't necessarily great. It was delicious food, but it wasn't necessarily like fueling my body right. And I was an athlete all my life. I played volleyball, played multiple sports, and then went to college and played volleyball. And you're training like crazy so often, so you're burning through those calories so much, your metabolism's on fire because you're so young. Graduated college, realized, hey, I can't eat like this, I'm gonna be a fat ass. So I decided like, hey, maybe I should try to like make those good, recipes and stuff my mom did, but make them like a healthier version. So my book's called The Fresh Farmhouse Kitchen because it is farmhouse style recipes that actually taste good because nobody wants to stay on a diet when the food tastes bad. So I always tell people like my mission or my motto is, making healthy food that doesn't taste like shit, period. Like that's the game plan.
I tell people all the time because my friends are like, how could you have so much discipline? You go out and you don't drink, you don't eat the food when you're training, when you're fighting. I'm like, because when I'm in that mode, it's almost like food no longer is as sexy as it always is. It's almost like it's fuel for the body. And if it tastes good.
For sure.
Absolutely.
That's it. You're saying all of the hot buns, and I love that. Now I'm gonna ask one more question, Yoko, and I'll let you jump in because I literally have this little clipboard. I'm ready to roll. Emily.
Yes.
If you could, everybody needs like a mentor. I truly believe it. And I think like social media these days allows you to have mentors that you never see, hear, speak to. Was there like a specific mentor in your life that kind of got you motivated, let you chase your passion?
It was honestly my dad. Like, we didn't have the internet growing up, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't even get computers until I was like in 10th grade, you know? So, you know, it wasn't as accessible as it is now for, you know, kids and like people in their 20s and stuff. I still think call them kids, but, you know, it's so easy to grab their phone and find these mentors, but quality mentors, because I think that term is very loosely, and people that have actually done something to prove themselves. Like, you guys had your shit together, you know what's going on, you both done stuff, and you're reputable. But you see people that are basically making money off of these people to be their mentors, but they've never done anything to make money except charge people money for what they consider, like to tell them how to do it, and they've never done it. So my best thing was my dad. He was an entrepreneur my entire life. He owned several trucking firms, brokerage firms, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so he worked like crazy and then would come home, work the farm and things like that. So he was like, he's like the freaking John Wayne of like entrepreneurs. Like, he's no BS. He's straightforward. Like, I posted a post today and it's like, my dad taught me, like, you know, support, you don't ever deserve support. You have to earn support. And that's something, he was very, very, rigidly loving in that aspect. Like, cause I opened my first business, my brick and mortar business, when I was 20. And, you know, it's something, I had some hard lessons to learn there, but he was always there to like, let me fail, but then tell me why I failed. Like, he allowed me to do that. So my dad, hands down, my biggest mentor.
Great mentorship. Great mentorship.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta ask you a question before Eddie steals all the thunder.
I was definitely trying to
I saw you. So my question for you is, you've accomplished obviously a lot. You've had an amazing, amazing role model. Okay, I just definitely want to point that out. So what would you say on your journey were some of the obstacles that you've learned the most from? It could be as an entrepreneur, as a person, as a human being, whatever. But what are some of those things that you kind of sit back when you're on the farm and you're thinking and you're reflecting back? And you're playing with your dogs.
Yeah, of course, you know.
Right. So, what are some of the things that come to your mind every now and then that you really reflect back on?
Honestly, my first business, like I said, I was 20 years old. I grew up in a very small town. Started my business there. It was like a flower shop, luxury gift boutique. I did wedding rentals and tuxedos rentals, all that kind of stuff. It was definitely my ego at that point that, you know, almost buried me probably 8 months into my business, because I bought the building and started the business in September. So you have all the holidays, which we're thinking flowers wise, things you send flowers wise. So you have like Christmas, Valentine's Day, you know, Mother's Day, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, honestly, 20 years old, I thought I was freaking rolling, you know what I mean? Because like I was getting all this money. I was like, this is awesome. I only had 6 employees. So my overhead was fairly low. And then I didn't realize that after like prom and Easter season, Mother's Day, nobody really orders flowers till September. And here I was like, I wanted all like the best, like high quality stuff that people could have, because in a small town, we didn't even have a store you could buy socks in my town. It was like so tiny. And it was something where I quickly learned, because I was basically had to start paying out my employees for my own personal savings, because I got down one day in August to $42.87 in my business account. And it was so scary to me, because I realized I had spent all this money to have like, to look the part and have this really beautiful showroom and this beautiful boutique and this place that like, it was, in a way, I felt like it was almost like a front. You know what I mean? Like it was, I was paying, everything was paid for. I didn't have it on credit cards or anything, but it's something where here I have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff, but I have $42 in the bank. Like, it's like what Instagram is now with people, I feel like.
Oh, you are going through a whole new lane. You're changing the scope of Instagram. This is actually good. This is actually
definitely good. It's definitely ego. And then I got over that. I snapped out of that, because it took me to getting to that point, that like bottom part of my business, to like actually grow and succeed. And then I took it, I owned it for about 4.5 years before I sold it, moved to St. Louis. And by then I had it, high 6-figure business when I sold it. So it took a lot to transition to that, but getting out of my own head and realizing I have to do what's best for me. And if that meant not as much inventory and things like that, then, I got way, way more financially healthy by taking my ego out of the equation. So.
Right. So I gotta comment on this. So hold your horses, Eddie.
Oh yeah.
You're going through an era. You mentioned Instagram. You mentioned social media. And one of the things that me and Eddie often talk about on our show, off the show, because we talk very often, is this big hustle and grind epidemic And you have people that buy these rented luxury cars.
Yes.
Ads on Facebook.
Yep.
Show you how to make $1 million in 3 months.
Right.
Particular types of things. And they project this image of success when really behind the scenes, it's nowhere near what they're projecting. So I just really want to point out what you said. Now, here you have, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Emily Frisella telling you and admitting that, projecting that particular image. I think it's focused on the most instead of your voice.
Right.
The value that you give to other people. So I just want you to touch on that a little bit more to those who may be saying, I've got to go rent a car, or I've got to go stand by someone else's house.
Yeah.
And act like it's mine. So what would you say to that particular audience? Because you live this. I mean, you actually live the success that you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I think the important thing is, any type of social media platform, there's only 3 industries, okay? It's, make money, get fit, or get laid, basically. That's the 3 industries that people target money-wise, okay? There's 3 industries that, are the avenues on Instagram, and people are gonna do whatever they can to say, hey, you know what? I can make you look the sexiest, more so than that person. I can do this. So it's a constant false one-up game where some guy posts a picture in front of a Rolls Royce. Well, somebody else wants to post it in front of, a Huracan Performante car or something. And then that next guy wants to come in and oh, you know what? Because you can actually rent jets by the hour to do photo shoots. So then models and you can totally do that.
Wow.
It's like $750 an hour, I think, out in California. I read an article about it because I was like, this is unbelievable to me. So people rent these and models rent them too. And they'll go in and sit inside the jet and take their pictures and have their photographer there to make it look like they're flying to Milan or flying to wherever.
Wow.
Fucking sit in a parking lot. So it's something where, it's always like a one-up. And to me, that's honestly people are doing that because they're obviously wanting to sell you something. It's like any other type of marketing that's been around since the first purchase of anything that's ever been sold. However, it's more of a pulling the wool over your eyes to get you to the shiny object, to attract you to that. And I just feel like it's not almost unethical. It is. There's no ethics in that because you're potentially selling these programs or these get-rich-quick schemes to these people that are maybe only have $200 left to their name, and they're so hopeful, and they're like, this is finally it. I'm going to get financial freedom. They spend what is their groceries or rent or utility for you, and you cannot feel good about that. So it's just honestly I'm doing this because I'm getting upset.
Oh, hey, give it all to us.
No, because people are just pieces of shit, and you just have to research. You have to do your homework. You have to figure out who people are and what have they done. If you see, whatever, you see somebody's name promoting some program. Mm-hmm. Well, there's this new thing called Google, and you can jump on it. Google them, see what they've done, see their businesses that they've built and things like that. You're on your phone anyway, type in their name, research them, see if they're credible because I guarantee you 99% of the time, they don't know. Their business is on Instagram and just selling programs from regurgitated stuff that they read somewhere else and typed it up and are fronting to be some sort of great entrepreneur.
Right.
Emily, I gotta make a confession. So Miyoko, don't kill me. I love everything you're saying, and I go on these passionate rants where some days I'll contact Miyoko and I'll just go off. We'll look for guests. We get some awesome, amazing guests on our show, and nothing burns my ass more than anybody else's when Miyoko reaches out to somebody, and just because he doesn't have a blue check mark, they kind of shrug him off and play him like a fool. And then I'll reach out to the same person because this guy got a blue check mark, which I don't even care about. People respond, and I go off. I never call them out by name, but I'll go on little Instagram story rants about people that are so phony, how they act like they care about people, how they want to uplift this person, and when they find out that they can't get, they don't know, and they can't get a benefit from that person, they kind of throw the person to the side and treat them wrong, and that drives me nuts. And I love the fact this is going to lead up to my next question. This rant's gonna have a reason. So when Miyoko he told me he reached out to you, and I was like, oh, cool, that'd be awesome to have her on. And he was like, oh, I didn't hear back from her yet, but the first thing in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I wonder. I knew
She's
who
one of
like,
those.
I know you're successful. I know that, I know your background, your little bit of your story. So I'm like, all right, I want to see if she has an ego, because I'm like, I want to know the person. And when you came back with your response, I was like a breath of fresh air, because I've been through it. Whenever Miyoko reaches out, I get nervous, and I was like, I don't want to have a bad perception of this person. So thank you for being awesome in who you are, and I'm super excited. And this leads me to.
Can I tell you something real quick though about that with followers and the check mark stuff? Okay, so something like that people do need to realize is that it's not just about the number of followers you have, because a lot of people go in and these people that give blue check mark, some of them are organic, however, a lot of them, they buy their followers in order to get that check mark. They create fake accounts to make it look like people are trying to be them in order to get the check mark. They do a lot of things, to get that, like it's some sort of like Instagram trophy. And, my growth has been completely organic. I've never done shout outs or like a follow for follower, whatever that other crap is. But the thing is that it doesn't matter your amount of followers, because if someone has, let's say 200,000 followers, you might only have maybe 2% engagement, because it's just random people and you're a lot out of your element. So if you could have 2,000 followers and have a 50% engagement, because it's 2,000 people, or let's say 1,000 people of that 2,000, or I'm sorry, 50% of the 2,000, so 1,000 are truly engaged and truly like what you do. So you're actually going to be more successful, even having a lower, rate for that, because it's all about engagement and the response. So if somebody's got 200,000 followers selling a program, they're like, they don't sell hardly anything, but yet if you do that and you have, 1,000 really, really engaged followers, you're selling a program or a training seminar or something like that for $500,000, you're going to do way better selling that $500 to $1,000 program versus if you had more. So number is legitimately just a number.
Right. I love it. You're so spot on. I always tell people one's greater than zero. And everything you're saying, I am absolutely blown away, because I love it, because you're authentic. When you talk, I can see
my mind, man.
You're authentic. And that's what I love. I hate these phony people. Like, you're always going to know where you stand with me, because I always just tell like it is. It's a gift and a curse.
It definitely is.
But it's like people, like you said, about the whole cursing thing, right? Like, I curse. I'm human. And I became free when I was like, I wasn't afraid to curse them. I wasn't afraid to be who I am, because I know I'm a great father. I do the right things. And when I curse, because I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. It's not something I learned in a book. It's not something I read. It's not a certification. It's like my innate born passion. So curse away. I absolutely love it. So before I go on a complete rant, the next question I was bringing up, and this goes with the whole authentic thing. How is it? I call you the backbone. You're gonna see why. I say Emily's the backbone. How is it being the wife of a successful entrepreneur? Because I'm sure you get that thrown at you all the time.
We get asked out. And it's funny. People don't really know our history that much. Like, we've been friends for 13 years. We've been together for 10 years. So when we actually met and started dating, I was an operations and accounting manager for a design firm. Andy had 2 retail stores at the time and was $60,000 in credit card debt. So we, didn't have money, we didn't have anything like that. And then as, time progressed, they have, I believe, 18 retail stores now. And then First Form started back in 2009. And then it just grown from there. So I think really in the last 4 years is when things have really like skyrocketed for him. And honestly, it's awesome, because I love seeing that for him, because I've seen the transition from 13 years ago, Andy, to 2018, Andy. So it's really, really awesome to see that. And I'm just so proud of him. Like, anytime he travels, like, literally, we have probably, I think, 4 or 5 like shoe boxes full of like cards and notes, because I always like pack him extra cute snacks and like a card, tell him how proud I am, like a little encouragement and stuff. Because like, he does a lot, not just for him though, because the cars, the jets, all that stuff, it's secondary. You know what I mean? Like, he would give it all up for like our dogs, you know what I mean? Or like for us, like he is very dedicated to not just, his personal growth, but he's got, 200 employees that, they rely on him, and, their families rely on him to be a good leader. That we have 7,000 sales reps around the country. Like, those people depend on their income from him. So, it's honestly, it's wonderful to see his passion, his drive, because people will say like, oh, what's it like? Because like they hear the podcasting is very intense. It's very like, it's basically like lighting a fire under your ass. But at home,
sweet guy, you can tell.
Yeah, we're just very chill. We're super homebodies. Like we go to like the same 3 restaurants all the time and just like super relaxed. Like people are always like, does he like pump you up? It must be so great. I'm like, he's not like, yeah, baby, brush your teeth. Like it's not like that kind of life. It's like, it's honestly like, I love.
Are you sure? Because you do have good teeth. You do have good teeth.
Yeah, they're my teeth. They're not fake. I get asked if they're fake and they're not. I don't know why I tapped them. Like you can tell. I don't know. But anyway. But no, it's great. We have an awesome, relationship. And what's cool, I feel like with us, because we're actually going to be doing a podcast together on this, is because we get all these like crazy questions.
Nice.
But what's cool is like we understand flexibility over balance. And I post some on that about Instagram. I want to actually do like a little newsletter to like elaborate on that because Instagram wouldn't let me write enough on it. But basically, you have to have flexibility in your life because people are always like, well, how do you guys do this? Or when you do this? We don't believe in date nights because I feel like that's forced. Like if you both have a crappy day or he has a crappy day, he comes home, the last thing he's going to want to do is go out and pretend to have a good time when he's wrapped up and thinking like, oh my gosh, this guy's not doing his job or I got to get this done. Like you can't force those types of like connections like that. So we're just kind of like, hey, what's going on? Let's just go grab dinner. We do things like that. We don't have these like set specific, like, okay, it's 7:00. We do have dinner at 7:00. But after that, after I serve dinner, I might have work to do and I come down to my office or he might have something to do or a call to make. But the time that we do get together, it's always great. Like usually mornings are our time because we usually hang out till about 9 or 10 in the morning together. But it's something where like, we don't have this set schedule. And a lot of people think that we would because of both being entrepreneurs and doing a lot of stuff and traveling and stuff. But I just feel like the date night stuff, the rigid schedule of like trying to, let's love each other from 7 to 9. And then again on Thursday nights for a date night. Like that's bullshit. Like, be nice to each other all the time. Don't sweat stuff. And like, dude, the time you do get to spend together, make it amazing,
See, everything leads back to the authenticity. I love it. I say it all the time, and my fiance thinks I'm crazy. She's like, you're just mad and you don't want to celebrate Valentine's Day. I'm like, every day is Valentine's Day for you. Like, why do I need one day to love you? It's crazy. Every day is Father's Day. Like I'm always a dad. Like it's crazy.
Well, we're like that. We don't do holidays. We don't do celebrate. Like I hate Valentine's Day anyway, just from having the flower industry. It like totally kills it for you. But we're not into holidays. We don't buy gifts for each other for all those specific reasons or whatever. But we do it more like randomly. You know what I mean? Like Andy bought me a beautiful set of knives a couple weeks ago and surprised me with them. He had them being made for like 5 months. It was just like a random thing. It's like we like to do stuff like that. Because like all other stuff, it's kind of more forced, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know what? Like there's Valentine's Day commercials everywhere. I better get you a card or you're gonna be mad. Like, look, if you are with somebody that gets pissed off that you don't get them a freaking card or some flowers or something, dump their ass because it's gonna be a long, hard road. So
yeah, I'm gonna tag my fiance in that.
Oh my God, she's gonna send me hate DMs. Don't do that.
No, she's gonna love you. I tell you what, I gotta give her credit because it's funny because ever since I started doing this podcast, she started watching the shows and listening to some of the guests, and her mindset flipped. And it's it's beautiful. So I'm super pumped up. Miyoko, please ask the question because if not, I got 15 more. I'm gonna steal everything.
I really want to stay in the authenticity plane because I don't think that's talked about often enough. Mm-hmm. I really think the reason why you and your husband are successful is because of the authenticity. I tell a lot of my clients and our guests that authenticity is your truest, most inner superpower. Yeah. And I feel like so many people are just afraid to tap into that whole aspect of themselves. When you're looking around, we were talking about the advertisement and the rented jets and all those things. People are starving so much right now for something real. And it's just like Eddie was telling you, when I go on Instagram, there's some people with blue check marks and I skim right past them because I'm like, okay, typical thing. Okay, typical thing. And then I saw you and I'm like, okay, Frisella. I didn't even think about your husband, to be honest. Yeah. awesome powerhouse of a guy. I'm not saying he's not, but I didn't even think about him. I didn't even put the two together. So I'm like, oh, Emily Frisella. Well,
we both do our own things. People are like, why don't you guys post more of each other? Picture, like we both have our own separate.
You have your own entities and your own brands, and that's what I really love about you. And I do want to kind of talk about something a little bit since we have you on. I see a lot of these events. I see a lot of these big time names do conventions, do all these particular things, but I never see any woman. And if you've been following our show, we make it a point to actually bring women on. And one of the reasons is I believe that if you're awesome, you have a vision, you have a message, and something of value you can present to other people, I don't really care if you're a man or a woman. So often when you see women, they have these business associations just for women. What we're trying to do here is we really want to bridge the gap. But can you kind of give us some insight on why every time we see these conventions, you see nothing but men, or then you see nothing but women? How can we bridge the gap and realize that we both have so much to offer?
Well, I think it's going to be, you spoke about authenticity and the importance of it. I want to kind of jump back to that. And then what you just asked is you need, a lot of people, they don't know how to break out of that, because think about it. You've been non-authentic your entire life, like from the age of 5 until 18, because school is about being wherever you need to fit in. And that's what you become. You're molded like, I want to sit with the cool kids in lunch. I want to be, one of the cool kids. I want to sit in the back of the bus. They want to do cool stuff. So you're kind of like groomed from an early age, I feel like, in school to like not truly be yourself, because you might get ridiculed or teased for that. So you kind of conform to what everybody else wants and you lose your true self. So I feel like when people get out of, are in college or maybe out of college, it's almost like they're restarting over, like, who am I? Who do you like? Or, what do I like? What are my passions? And a lot of people don't take the time to sit back and reflect and be like, who am I really? Like, you stripped away all the models, the fashion, all the crap that we're told is cool. Like, would you actually like it if you weren't told it was cool? You know what I mean? So it's kind of hitting that, level with yourself to be like, what do I like? I personally don't own a single pair of designer shoes or bags because I don't give a crap about that stuff. Like, I walk on sidewalks and tear my high heels up, so I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a pair. And purses, I throw all over the place, so I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, but people are surprised that I don't own that stuff, which is weird because they're assuming that I should, but my authentic self doesn't give a shit about it, so I'm not going to buy it. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it.
Stuff like that, even just material things. But as far as bridging the gap with men and women in the entrepreneur space or like these conference spaces, I think it needs to be understanding is that, like, we from the 1950s, men have always like been looked at as like the steed, like the more successful one, the one that they know what's going on. However, I do feel like there's a very, very small shift of women starting to infiltrate the space. Maybe for like every 10 men, there's one woman. And I feel like what's very valuable that people are overlooking is that whether you're a man or a woman, you need a mentor or someone to look to or advice from both a man and a woman, because especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you have employees, you men can relate to men. I can relate to women. However, we can't relate to the other. So by having someone that's, of the opposite sex, also to have them as a mentor as well, or to hear from them, is going to educate you, put some light on different subjects. You know what I mean? Like, men are do creatures. They're like, let's get it done. I don't give a shit. I don't, put your feelings aside, flush them down the toilet. Just do what I told you. Women are more empathetic, and they understand, like, they're a little bit more into the psychology, I feel like, of people, of knowing like, okay, you know what? He had a bad morning or whatever like that. They're a little bit more compassionate, which I feel like both aspects of those, how you would, what's the right word I would look for? How you would go after those people or how you would approach them. The guys can be like, look, man, I get this. You need to get this done though, blah, blah, blah. You can kind of take a little bit from each female and male to kind of form a better sense of leadership, to know how to get shit done, but also to understand people, because people want to feel cared for. You could give them $1 million raise, but they want to feel important. They want to feel like you give a shit, because the money's only going to last so long, and they're going to forget they even got a raise, but they're going to remember how you treat them. So.
I love it.
Sorry, I talk a lot.
This is you. This is your platform.
This is you. And honestly, I absolutely love it, because you're saying all the right things, because I get butchered because I always wear a black V-neck because I don't.
So does Andy.
that's like my thing, like V-necks. Like, I just wear the same thing over and over again, and I look for the ones that don't have the logos on it, because I just feel like I'm not gonna go advertise somebody else's brand, because
Next Level on Amazon, they're like $7. Andy we buy like 40 of them. They're literally $7. It's called Next Level. I'll DM you the code. Literally, for like the boxes.
They are the absolute best, most comfortable shirts ever. Yeah. That's what I love. Like, you just said it best. Now, Emily, everybody needs to follow you. They need to see your authentic you. you have to tell all our beautiful listeners where they can find you on Instagram, all your social media. They have to know.
Okay, Instagram and Facebook, it's Emily Frisella. Website, fithomehealth.com, and foodandsession.com, which is our podcast website. I co-host that. So.
Love it.
All right, you know what time it is. You know what time it is, Eddie. Bring her in.
Drum roll.
Bring her in.
All right. Do you want to ask the question or do I just start talking?
All right, so what I'll do is I'll do it formally like we do it on the show.
Okay.
Everybody knows.
I'll pretend I don't know.
Everybody knows around this time, we are big proponents of, okay, inspiration is good, but we have an expression, motivation without momentum and application is just simply hype. So we're looking for something that we can apply, me and Eddie can apply, our guests and the audience can apply. So we have a challenge at the end of every show. We all know, if you've been listening, you know how this goes. So the stage is yours, Emily. Give us a challenge, something that we can take with us that we can actually instantly change our lives doing right after this podcast ends.
This is an easy one and just my favorite one that I live my life by this, which is, it may sound a little twisted at first, but hear me out. So it does because of what it is. Okay. So here, okay. The first word, think about your eulogy. Okay. When you die, somebody always reads your eulogy, right? So think about if you had someone in a business that you're do business with or a business associate, they would be reading one. Someone in your life would read one, and the person you're in a relationship would be reading one. Think about what they would be saying at your funeral. And if you don't like what you think that people would hear about you, then you need to change.
I think that was a record for the fastest challenge.
It's easy.
Huge.
Yeah. I love that because, I wasn't a big reader in school. I always did really well in school. School came easy for me. And I've been doing more reading and writing now than I ever been. And that's a reality check. That's a gut check. I love it. I absolutely love that. I'm taking that challenge. Like, I'm going to take that. I am like so superly humbled and grateful. Thank you so much, Emily, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, please. I think you're probably one of the few people that have realized it, but you're going to impact so many lives. And
thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
No, it's an honor. That's an absolutely amazing challenge. So once again, listeners, you are listening to the Art of Winning show. Thank you for tuning in. And Miyoko and I always go back and forth. We don't ever know how we're going to top our next guest, but some way, somehow, we always find those diamonds in the rough, and we're grateful. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe and comment.
Subscribe, listen, everything.
Thank you so much, guys.